At 30,000 feet below the surface, life does not just adapt. It transforms into something that looks straight out of a nightmare. Sunlight never reaches down there, pressure can crush steel, and food is so rare it makes creatures evolve in ways that feel almost impossible. Teeth get longer, bodies become transparent, eyes grow to the size of plates, and bioluminescent traps glow in the dark like scenes from an underwater horror movie. This is one place where nature bends every rule just to stay alive. And the deeper you go, the stranger and scarier it gets. This is the story of why the deep sea evolves into pure horror. The predator that hunts with a detachable jaw. In the dark, crushing depths of the ocean lives one of the most terrifying predators you've probably never heard of, the frilled shark. This creature isn't built like your everyday shark. It's more like a sea serpent with a detachable jaw that looks like something out of a horror movie. What makes it a nightmare hunter? First, its mouth. The jaws of the frilled shark are right at the very tip of its snout, not tucked under its head like most sharks. Inside, it has roughly 300 needle-sharp teeth in the shape of small tridents. These aren't used for chewing. Rather, they hook and hold onto slick prey like squid, fish, or even smaller sharks, and don't let go. It is an ambush hunter, pure and simple. Inhabiting the water normally from 120 to 1,280 meters deep, sometimes even deeper, it moves through the black water with an eel-like body. When prey wanders close, it bends up like a spring, tail braced on the sea floor, then lunges forward, mouth wide open, swallowing its victim whole. The scarcity of food down there means that the frilled shark pounces on anything that comes near it, from cephalopods to fish, even carrion at times. In fact, some studies even suggest that it may feed on the dead animals that drift down. Despite its terrifying appearance and horrifying method, the frilled shark is seldom any danger to man. It lives far below where divers or swimmers go. Still, just imagining those three-pronged teeth snapping shut in the pitch black of the deep sea. That's the kind of horror the ocean doesn't warn you about. The creature with transparent skin. Deep beneath the ocean, about 600 to 800 meters down, there dwells one of the weirdest creatures you've ever heard of, the barrel-eye fish. What makes it really alien is its see-through head. A dome of soft, transparent tissue filled with fluid. You can literally see its eyes, glowing green orbs floating inside its skull. At first glance, the two dark spots on the front of its face seem to be its eyes, but they are not. They are just its nostrils, olfactory organs. The real eyes lie deep inside its head under that clear dome. Why does it have this transparent helmet? Simple. Survival in the deep sea. The barrel-eye's tubular eyes are very light-sensitive and capped with green lenses that help it catch even the faintest glow of bioluminescent prey. The transparent dome lets in light and protects those delicate eyes from the stinging tentacles of siphonophores jellyfish-like creatures that often steal food from. Here's the trippy part. For a long time, scientists believed the barrel-eye's eyes were fixed, always facing upwards to catch silhouettes of prey against the dim surface light. In 2008, however, researchers at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute discovered the eyes can actually rotate from up to forward, giving the fish a precise view when it lunges for food. Floating almost motionless in the dark water, the barrel-eye uses its large, flat fins for stability, eyes scanning above. When tiny crustaceans or small animals are spotted trapped by siphonophore tentacles, it rotates its eyes forward and darts upward to snag its meal. The barrel-eye fish is a creature straight out of a science fiction horror film, a transparent-headed, green-eyed ghost of the deep. But every one of their bizarre adaptations has evolved to fulfill one purpose: to eke out an existence in one of Earth's dimmest, harshest environments. The monster with the giant mouth. When you think of a monster from the deep sea, the gulper eel, commonly referred to as the pelican eel, is about as monstrous as it gets. Its claim to horror fame: a mouth so enormous that it can swallow prey bigger than its own body. This eel lives far below the ocean surface, usually between 500 and 3,000 meters deep, where sunlight doesn't reach, and food is incredibly rare. The body is elongated and thin, snake-like, often very dark black to disappear in the darkness. But its real trick is the jaw. The lower jaw of a gulper eel can be almost a quarter of its total body length. That jaw is loosely hinged, meaning it can unfold wide like an umbrella, and then its stretchy throat pouch opens like a balloon. It does not chew, rather it gulp eats. The eel lunges, either by using the glow coming from the tip of its tail as a lure or not, then vacuums prey fish, squid, crustaceans into its enormous mouth, swallowing it whole. Because the deep sea is so empty, gulpers need to take advantage of any meal they get. Their stomach are extremely stretchable. They can swell with large prey and water at the same time. Once the water is expelled through the gills, the meal remains inside. Their body design also reflects the harsh, low-light world they inhabit. Tiny eyes, good enough only to pick up faint bioluminescent glows, almost invisible fins, and a long whip-like tail ending in a bioluminescent organ. That tail likely acts as a fishing lure to draw prey close enough. They are rarely seen alive by scientists. Their fragile bodies usually get damaged when brought to the surface. But when they're seen out in the wild, the scenes are surreal. A thin, ghost-like eel drifting in pitch black, then suddenly its head exploding into this massive maw, swallowing a fish or squid whole. It's just the kind of horror show evolution cooked up for survival in one of the ocean's deepest, darkest zones. The mantis shrimp's deadly strike. Meet the mantis shrimp, a little undersea warrior with a punch so vicious it's almost unbelievable. Despite its name, it's not really a shrimp. It belongs to the group stomatopods, distant cousins of lobsters and crabs. Its club-like front appendages hidden until it strikes. When a mantis shrimp sees prey, like a crab, clam or snail, it cocks one of those arms, building energy like a spring. Then, in a blink, literally, it releases. The punch launches at up to 50 miles per hour, about 80 kilometers per h. That's faster than a .22 caliber bullet. The impact alone is fearsome. That strike hits with a force many times stronger than the shrimp's own weight, more than enough to crack the shells of crabs or clams. But here's where it gets even weirder. The punch doesn't only hurt with brute force. Because it's so fast and powerful, it causes a drastic drop in water pressure momentarily, creating what's called a cavitation bubble. When that bubble collapses, it produces a tiny shockwave and a flash of heat and light. That collapse can, very briefly, spike the temperature to extreme levels. Some research claims that the collapsing bubble's temperature can rise to thousands of degrees Celsius, many times hotter than normal seawater, enough to stun or even kill prey before the shrimp's club even lands. Because of this combination, a bullet-fast strike, tremendous force, and mini-explosion of heat and shock, mantis shrimp hold the title for the strongest self-powered punch in the animal kingdom. Beyond the claws, mantis shrimp are a feast for the eyes. Many species sport brilliant iridescent shells in hues of green, blue, red, and orange, a rainbow hiding deadly power. Their eyes are also incredibly advanced. They can detect many colors and even see polarized light, affording them spectacularly enhanced vision underwater. So when you think about a punch hotter than the sun, it's not that the shrimp becomes a fire breather. Rather, its strike triggers a microscopic burst, a flash of heat and light, born from sheer speed and physics. It's nature's own underwater bomb, wielded by a creature no bigger than your hand. The jellyfish that looks like a floating galaxy. Imagine drifting in the midnight zone of the ocean, several thousands of meters below sea level, when all of a sudden, out of the pitch blackness, a glowing ghostly jellyfish materializes, pulsing and flashing like some sort of little cosmic light show. That's the Atolla jellyfish. The Atolla isn't huge. The bell, the round, umbrella-like part of its body, is typically only about 15-20 centimeters across, roughly the size of a small dinner plate. But its shape and behavior make it seem far bigger. The bell is rimmed with multiple tentacles, and often there's a single, extra-long tentacle trailing behind. In the pitch-black depths where Atolla lives, often between 500 and 5,000 meters down, Its deep red color actually serves as a clever camouflage. This is because the red shade of light cannot reach this level, making the jellyfish almost invisible to predators. But when trouble stirs, the Atolla does something almost magical. It lights up. Due to bioluminescence, this jellyfish can flash bright, rapidly, flashing blue rings of light when threatened, a shining hypnotic glow to cut through the darkness. Scientists believe that those flashes serve as an alarm signal. The light rings may attract bigger predators, creatures that might attack whoever tried to eat the Atolla, giving the jellyfish a chance to escape. That's why some call it the alarm jelly. Its long, trailing tentacle also plays a big role. While the Atolla drifts slowly through deep water, that tentacle floats like a fishing line, snagging tiny crustaceans, plankton, or other small prey that come near. Atolla isn't flashy for beauty's sake. Every curve of its bell, every trailing tentacle, every burst of glowing blue is a clever survival trick. In a dark, empty world where food is rare and predators lurk, the Atolla jellyfish uses light, shape, and stealth to survive. And when you see one lighting up in the deep sea gloom, it looks less like a sea creature and more like a drifting galaxy, a ghostly spark in Earth's final frontier. The shark that glows in the dark, deep beneath the waves, in the dark twilight zone of the ocean, are sharks that don't just survive, but glow. Lantern sharks are part of a rare group of sharks that actually produce their own light through their skin. These sharks are generally small, often under 50 centimeters, about 1.5 feet long, though related species like the kitefin shark can be much larger. On the belly, and often on the flanks and tail, lantern sharks possess small light-producing organs known as photophores. These photophores emit a soft blue-green glow, not a bright neon light, but enough to make them faintly luminous in deep water. But why glow in the dark if you're a predator? It turns out, light can be the ultimate disguise. In the deep sea, predators lurking below could spot a shark's dark silhouette if it had a black belly. Lantern sharks avoid this by matching the faint downwelling light from above, making their belly glow just enough to erase their outline. This clever trick is called counter-illumination. So instead of painting a target on themselves, they disappear into the gloom invisible to predators and unsuspecting prey below alike. Some species might even use the glow for more than just hiding, as the researchers believe that the patterns of photophores on their bodies could further help the lantern sharks recognize each other, perhaps identify mates or their own species. Despite their eerie glow, lantern sharks are small and secretive and live thousands of feet down, so encounters with humans are extremely unlikely. But imagine a dark ocean, no stars above, and then a faint ghostly silhouette adrift in the water, light glowing from its belly, hiding its shape, slipping through gloom. It's that sort of underwater mystery that feels more science fiction than reality. The creature that snows, rotting flesh from above. Deep down in the ocean, far below where sunlight reaches, there's a constant and creepy snowfall. But it's nothing like the fluffy snow you know. It's marine snow, a drifting cascade of decaying flesh, dead plankton, poop, dust, and other bits of organic and inorganic debris that slowly sinks from the upper waters toward the deep sea floor. As plants and animals near the surface die, or as plankton produce waste, die, or get eaten and pooped out, the remains begin a journey. Tiny particles stick together, aided by sticky mucus released by plankton and microbes, forming larger snowflakes. Sometimes these snowflakes drift for weeks as they descend hundreds or even thousands of meters. Called marine snow because of its ghostly, drifting appearance in ROV footage, these flakes range from microscopic dust to clumps several centimeters across. For deep-sea creatures that live in endless darkness where sunlight never reaches, and hunting is tricky, marine snow is like cosmic manna. Filter feeders, scavengers, bottom dwellers, and even microbes depend on these slow-falling flakes as their main source of food. Crustaceans, tiny worms, deep-sea fish, and jellyfish often feed on marine snow, either while the flakes are drifting by or after they finally settle on the seabed. But the journey down isn't easy. Along the way, Many flakes get consumed by midwater creatures, broken apart, or decomposed by bacteria. Only a fraction reaches all the way to the ocean floor. That small residue, the flakes that make it through the gauntlet, mingles with mud and sediments to form a thick blanket of organic ooze that blankets most of the deep-sea floor. In effect, marine snow acts as a hidden food web conveyor belt, carrying life's leftovers from the sunlit surface to the silent depths. It may appear to be death drifting down, but in that decay lies the foundation of life in the deep sea. In this world of sparse prey and unforgiving survival, this rotting snow maintains entire ecosystems. The shark that lives for 400 years. Down in the icy depths of the Arctic and North Atlantic swims one of the most mysterious giants of the ocean, the Greenland shark. It's not just how big it gets. This shark may also be the longest living vertebrate on Earth. Its remarkable longevity was determined by a clever trick in which researchers performed radiocarbon dating on the proteins inside the shark's eye lenses, rather than searching for growth rings, as would occur in trees or most other fish. These proteins form before birth and remain through life, acting like a built-in age record. In one study, it was estimated that some of the Greenland sharks were as old as 392 years, with a possible range from about 272 up to 512 years. Imagine a creature born centuries ago, when some human cities were still young, swimming slowly through dark, cold waters to this day. Part of what gives Greenland sharks their epic lifespans is that they grow very slowly and have a pretty chilled-out lifestyle. They grow about 1 centimeter every year, and they also swim quite slowly, often less than 3 kilometers per hour. They live in icy Arctic waters, where apparently cold temperatures retard the process of aging. They also take forever to grow up. Most Greenland sharks don't reach sexual maturity until they're about 150 years old. That makes their life cycle feel more like a timeless saga, rather than what we often imagine for fish. Because of this slow pace, long lives, delayed maturity, and minimal energy use, they age in a way very different from almost any other vertebrate. Some scientists think their cold water lifestyle, slow metabolism, and genetic adaptations, revealed recently from genome studies, together give them a kind of biological longevity code. The Greenland shark isn't just a big fish roaming cold seas. It is a living time capsule, one of those rare beings that age according to a schedule so slow that a human lifetime counts as a momentary blink for it. When one thinks, a creature that lives 400 years, this shark isn't some sort of fairy tale. It is real. It swims in our oceans, and it carries with it inside its silent, gliding form centuries of history. The worm that eats whale bones from the inside out. Deep in the pitch-black depths of the sea lives one such creature that sets up a feast on the skeleton of a dead whale, Osedax worms, commonly called zombie worms. When a whale dies and its body sinks to the sea floor, Osedax worms descend upon the carcass, not to scavenge flesh, but rather to drink in the nutrients hidden deep inside the bones. What makes Osedax so eerie and fascinating is that these worms don't have a mouth, stomach, or gut, yet they somehow manage to survive solely on bone. Instead of chomping, they rely on a network of root-like threads, which bore into bone. These roots secrete a powerful acid that dissolves bone tissue, releasing the fat and collagen locked inside. Special bacteria living in the roots break down these nutrients, which the worm then absorbs. It's an almost alien way to eat. Underwater cameras first revealed Osedax in 2002 on a decaying whale at nearly 2,900 meters deep off California's coast. Interestingly, Osedax don't only feed on whales. They've also been found colonizing fish bones and even cow bones that have been dumped into the sea. But here, the biology is full of surprises. Female worms build tube-like homes on the bones, and within those tubes, microscopic males, sometimes dozens or even hundreds, cling inside. These dwarf males never grow beyond a tiny size. It's a bizarre but effective reproductive strategy. Whenever a whale falls, a female and her hidden harem can produce countless offspring that float off, hoping to land on the next bone-rich carcass. Scientists have found fossil whale bones bearing distinct patterns of holes and tunnels, exactly the kind Osedax creates, dating back 30 million years. That means these bone-eating worms have probably existed since the earliest whales. In a world with limited food and where decay is the rule, Osedax worms are nature's crew of cleaners, turning death into nourishment. Their acidic roots and bacterial allies make them more than just scavengers. They are deep-sea recyclers. Silently, they chip away at bones in the darkness, making sure nothing goes to waste. The creature that can stop its own aging. Turritopsis. Dornii, commonly known as the immortal jellyfish, due to specific stressful circumstances, can just about reverse its biological clock and start anew. Like most jellyfish, it starts as a larva, grows into a polyp, a small, anchored life form, like a tiny sea plant, then later becomes the free-swimming, bell-shaped adult jellyfish, Medusa, we usually imagine. The twist: when threatened by injury, starvation, extreme conditions, or old age, this jellyfish doesn't just die. Instead, it initiates a remarkable process called transdifferentiation. Its adult body collapses, tentacles shrink, and its cells essentially go back in time, transforming into a simpler polyp form. Off that polyp, brand new medusae can bud off genetically identical to the original and begin life anew. In other words, T. dornii doesn't age as we do. Its cells can reprogram themselves through a process where muscle, nerve, and other specialized cells go back into unspecialized states before rebuilding fresh tissues. It's like a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar and then becoming a butterfly again. Because of this ability, the immortal jellyfish is sometimes called potentially biologically immortal by many scientists. In theory, as long as no predator eats it and no fatal disease strikes, it could keep cycling forever. But importantly, this doesn't equate to living forever in reality. In the wild, predators, drastic environmental changes, diseases, or pollutants usually break this life cycle. While it can bypass the process of death through aging, it is still susceptible to other dangers. This tiny, almost invisible creature is less than a few millimeters wide, about the size of a fingernail. But inside its transparent body lies one of the wildest survival tricks in nature: the power to reverse time on a cellular level. For scientists studying aging, regeneration, or even the biology of longevity, Turritopsis dornii isn't just a jellyfish. It's a possibility, a biological miracle, a natural time machine. The fish that makes its own antifreeze, down in the icy waters of the Southern Ocean, where seawater hovers around 1.9 degrees Celsius, and most creatures would freeze solid, lives a truly bizarre fish, the Antarctic icefish. What makes this creature astonishing isn't just its survival in freezing water, it's how it survives. Antarctic icefish produces natural antifreeze inside its blood and body fluids, special molecules called antifreeze glycoproteins, AFGPs, which cling to any ice crystals forming inside its body, stopping them from growing and threatening to tear apart cells. In effect, these fish have tiny pieces of ice in them, but the ice can't expand or damage their tissues. Their blood never freezes, even when the seawater is cold enough to freeze a human in seconds. Interestingly, Antarctic icefish are also the only vertebrates that are known to lack hemoglobin, the red oxygen-carrying protein that makes blood red in almost every other animal. In the absence of hemoglobin, their blood remains milky white or pale, a ghostly look that forms part of their unique adaptation. You might wonder, okay, no hemoglobin, but how do they get oxygen? As it happens, cold water has a lot more dissolved oxygen in it than does warm water. The supercold seas of Antarctica are oxygen-rich, and so these icefish absorb oxygen directly through their thin skin and blood plasma, without any need for red blood cells. To help pump that oxygen around, they developed extra-large hearts, wide blood vessels, and higher blood volume, special plumbing tuned for life in the cold. Scientists believe that these antifreeze adaptations developed millions of years ago when Antarctic waters rapidly cooled. While ordinary fish were dying, ice fish, carrying a mutated gene that made antifreeze proteins, seized the empty freezing niche and thrived. Because of all this, Antarctic icefish have a ghost-like appearance. Pale, almost transparent bodies, clear blood, moving slowly in dark and frigid waters as if they are drifting through some sort of underwater dream. But behind that otherworldly veneer lies a survival story that is so extreme it's nearly science fiction. In a world where cold should kill, icefish prove that sometimes, with the right biology, you don't just survive the cold, you become part of it. Thanks for exploring the abyss with us. If you love discovering these strange and incredible deep-sea creatures, from glow-in-the-dark sharks to immortal jellyfish, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing ocean mysteries. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a new video from us. Which deep-sea creature shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you want to explore even more underwater horrors and wonders, check out our playlist linked right here. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive. And maybe don't go swimming too deep.